March. Dear Danny, okay, don't panic, but something really, really, really freaky has happened. I'm not even sure where to begin. Don't worry, everyone's still alive. I think, but this is off the scale weird. So you might want to sit down and make sure that nosy sister of yours isn't reading this over your shoulder, or I'm done for. It all started last night on Parents' Evening. Remember how annoying Parents' Evening used to be before I came up with the genius plan that we should always blame each other when we got caught doing something cheeky? Frankie Brown! It was Danica! Our super smart blaming system meant that your parents thought I was the mischief maker. Danica has so much potential, but I think she spends a little bit too much time with Frankie Brown. And my parents thought you were. Frankie could do very well if he paid attention in class, but I think Danica Chowdhury is a bad influence. Of course, we didn't expect the school to make us sit on different sides of the classroom the next term, but we soon worked out our way of communicating. 1 cough. I wish we had donuts. 2 coughs. I wish we had pizza. 3 coughs. Possible zombie sighting in the playground. 4 coughs. Does the zombie have pizza or donuts? But now that my mum is a teacher in my new school, I don't have to worry so much about Parents' Evening. In fact, it's a breeze because mum is so busy worrying about what she's going to tell all the other parents, she doesn't care less about what the teachers say about me. Anyway, mum was going to be out the whole evening, so dad was in charge of me and Max for the night. Big mistake. You and I both know that my dad is barely able to look after himself, let alone 2 children, especially me, and double especially Max, as if, like that time he took us to the zoo. But it gets worse, because last night was also the night of the football final, and it was Dad's team, Wigglesbottom United, versus their biggest rivals, Trumpton City. Dad banged on for weeks about how inconsiderate it was that the school had scheduled Parents' Evening on such an important night in the sporting year. I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to the head teacher, he grumbled. If you don't stop moaning, I'll unpack the husband Mum warned. Dad was quiet after that. That's a lesson in irony, Mum whispered to me, smiling, but Dad's shirt still looked really creased, so I'm not sure I was paying enough attention. You live and learn. That definitely felt right. Anyway, back to last night. Picture this. Mum was out. The football was on. Dad was dressed in full Wigglesbottom kit from head to toe. You know, the one that's totally brown. Brown shirt, brown shorts, brown socks and brown shoes. Dad said they chose brown so they didn't need to clean the mud off their kit in the winter. Apparently it saves a fortune off the cleaning bill. And we'd ordered freaky pizza, extra cheese, for dinner, so Dad didn't have to worry about working Mum's latest invention, the dinner-o-matic. We ate the pizza at the table in the kitchen while he kept running back to the living room whenever the football commentator's voice on the telly got super excited. I don't see the point in those commentators being there. They just say the exact same thing you're watching. I'm glad they don't have them on zombies movies. I'm even more relieved your nosy sister's soppy rom-coms don't have them. I guess things weren't going great with the football because Dad kept shouting things at TV like foul and offside, and even I could have scored that, as well as some words that I definitely can't write down. I didn't have the heart to tell him that it didn't matter how loud he shouted, the players couldn't hear him. He's 34 and should really know how the TV works by now. Here's where it all started to go wrong. I reached for another slice of pizza and noticed that Max had turned red. Not just a little bit red, I mean proper red, like his face was going to pop. Since Max has only a few teeth and can't chew his food like that well, I guess the extra cheesy pizza was too chewy for him and he must have massive bits of pizza stuck in his throat. Panic. There was no time to get Dad from the football, and besides, I knew from reading chapter 3 of the 7th Zach Danger book what to do if someone's choking. So I leaped out of my seat and ran to Max, ready to whack him on the back as hard as I could to dislodge the cheesy lump he was choking on. After all, it was my idea to order the extra cheese, which meant it was totally my fault. You should have seen me run, Danny. I was like a super spy on a top secret mission, the way I leapt over the chairs and dived to save him. If it had been a movie, I definitely would have been one of those epic slow motion shots they use in all the trailers. I was already picturing the headline in the newspaper. Hero boy saves brother. Frankie Brown knighted by the Queen of England for bravery. Movie being made based on the true story of Frankie Brown, the boy, the baby and the pizza. But before I could save Max's life, the most awful smell in the world shot up my nose, and I realised that the little stinker wasn't choking at all. He was going red because he was squeezing out a poo. If his red face hadn't given him away, the smell definitely would have. It was beyond yuck. It had a sharp sting to it when it first hit my nostrils, followed by a hint of whiffy egg and subtle cabbage undertones. Well, I definitely wasn't taking responsibility for that. "Dad!" I shouted. "Max needs his nappy changing." "The football's gone to penalties, Frankie," said Dad's desperate reply. I could just imagine him on his knees in front of the TV, clutching his hair. "I'll change him in a minute. Just hold your nose and eat your pizza." I went back to finish my slice, and to my surprise, Max had gone. His high chair was still there, but it was empty. Dad!" I shouted, but he was yelling and cheering from the living room, and I guess Wigglesbottom United had scored. I couldn't get any sense out of him for a while. That's when I heard an almighty crash. "Max!" I called, looking around the desperate kitchen. Where had that noise come from? There was another smash, and I realised it was coming from behind the door just beside the fridge. Mum's home science lab. I called for Dad again, and I even went to get him, but he had his face pressed against the TV screen. "Do you remember what I told you about the HSL? It's full of Mum's super top secret, dangerous science experiments, and we are not allowed in there. You know I am very respectful of the rules, but I didn't have a choice. Max was in there, and he could have been touching anything, so I was about to do what any big brother whose dad is hopelessly distracted by football would do when faced with danger: run straight towards it. Also, I had thought of a new catchphrase I wanted to try out. I was inspired by Zach Danger because I'd just finished book 12, Zach Danger and the Countdown to Destruction, that afternoon, and this was the perfect time to say it. It's danger time. I wasn't actually wearing a super cape, but I drew it on because it looks cool. I grabbed my pencil case from the kitchen table and snapped on my zip that turns into a torch, aiming the beam at the door. I was ready to face whatever deadly gadgets and inventions Mum had whipped up in there. The thing is, none of that actually happened. Before I could do that whole heroic leap thing, I spotted Max dashing across the kitchen. He can't have been in Mum's lab at all. He clambered up on the kitchen table, and as he stood up, I saw that he was totally naked. "Where have you put your disgusting poopy nappy?" I asked. But just at that moment, through the window behind my brother's nudie butt, I noticed that the sky had changed. The clouds had got dark, really dark, and they were green, really dark green, and there were little flashes of lightning, green lightning. "Max, I think you should get down from there. I don't think we should be near the windows," I said. Suddenly there was a huge, deafening buzzing sound that seemed to make the whole house shake. Then, boom! The loudest thunderclap I have ever heard shook a house from top to bottom. A huge green flash lit up the room, and a gust of wind blew the kitchen windows wide open. Ouch! I jumped as my torch crackled with green light, and I rubbed my hand. It almost felt like I'd had a mini electric shock. But there was no time to think about that now, because filling the room was a disgusting, rotten, eggy smell, like Max's poopy-filled nappy, but worse. "Max," I yelled, "get down!" But the little naked monster just giggled and leaped onto the kitchen worktop. I went to grab him, but I guess the fact that he had no clothes on made him more aerodynamic, because he was faster than a monkey on a motorbike, and I missed him. I chased after him, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw something bad, something very bad. Through the kitchen window, more flashes of freaky green lightning were smashing down from the spinach-coloured sky. I saw one huge green thunderbolt zap the roof of number 24, Eric Flipperson's house. Another flash of green shot down. This time it smashed into a telephone pole, electrifying the cables that ran to all the houses on our street, sending zaps of stinking green energy directly into each home. Molly McClear, Charlie Campbell, Katie Speck, Susie Prune, Jamelia Pointer, and even Ronnie Nutbog's house were all zapped with this strange bolt of energy from the sky. And as the green flashes lit up their homes, I suddenly spotted their green-tinted faces peering through their bedroom windows at this mega storm. Weird, right? Well, check this out. Next, the lightning turned into hailstones the size of footballs that smashed onto the roofs of every parked car on the street. This was followed by moonbeam rainbows arching across the dark green sky. There were twisted twisters of what smelled suspiciously like butt gas. Yellow rain, not the kind you want to drink. Mucky mist, flatulent frost, honky haze. The northern lights even showed up before they realised they were in the wrong place. A sandstorm blew in from somewhere, then blew off again. It rained cats and dogs, actual cats and dogs. Oh, and it snowed. Then the whole house started to shake again. If I didn't know better, I'd say this was an earthquake, but that's impossible, right? It was like Freaky was experiencing every weather phenomenon Mother Nature can create at the same time. If that wasn't strange enough, there were green flashes sparking under the door to Mum's lab. Suddenly the door burst open, and inside it was chaos.